Welcome, this is Christopher Baxter, founder of InnerSky Yoga. My aspiration is that this montage of InnerSky techniques lights a spark of inspiration in those who feel yoga as a deep experience of kind-hearted awareness, core energy, lightness of spirit, and well-being in body, mind, and heart. Lengthen your spine, open up the wave of your breath, and lift up through the pelvic floor, through the middle, through the upper torso, called Mula Bandha. Then step your right foot forward and press your hips forward, lifting up through the sternum. As you exhale, press the hips towards the heels, lengthening through the hamstrings. Feel this wave of breath and energy, inhaling, lunging forward, exhaling, gliding back, lengthening the back of the leg. Find yourself in rhythm with your body here. As you exhale, rock the hips slightly from side to side, moving across the fibers of the hamstrings. And this time as you press forward, bring the hands up onto the thighs for a transition. Lift up the strength through the center of your body. Roll your shoulders back and down, using that movement to lift your arms up. Renew your core strength from the bottom through the middle, through the top of your torso. Open up the breath and sink into the sensations in your body at this time, finding the ways in which your breath can open and expand the root of the posture. The arms and hands are basically expressing the energy that you feel inside. All the while, the stability and mobility of the core of the body gives you room and safety to be able to move. Coming back down, staying lifted through the center of the body, and simply stepping the forward foot back. Take a moment for any stretches that would feel just right for you. And when you're ready, reverse to the opposite side. Exhaling, curl your tailbone under, and as you inhale, roll the tailbone up, let the spinal wave follow. This time as you roll the tailbone up, press the hips towards the sky. The knees come off the ground, shins stay close to the floor. Press your belly to the thighs, lengthening the spine. Open up the wave of breath. Feel the pulsing in the body. The legs are strong here, but the hamstrings are not lengthened. Then the tailbone lifts, the pelvis lifts, and as a result, the legs are lengthened. Feel this movement again. The pelvis lifts to the sky. As a result, the spine and the legs are lengthened. Open up the joints of the body. Nothing locked here. Strong pelvic floor lift, strong Mula Bandha. As you bend the elbows, they go back towards the feet, making sure you're using the side body muscles. Keep that wonderful length through the core of your body. And now we transition from the down dog, this wonderful stretch. Again, Mula Bandha is in place, wave of breath is happening. But as you press forward through the hips, round and curl the spine, bending the knees, getting that wonderful fluid spinal wave. This time as you press the hips all the way forward, reverse the curve in the spine. Ah, what a nice feeling. Press forward through the hips, press back through the heels. Lift up through the sternum, pull down through the shoulder blades, and again, open the joints of the body. Rest in stability and mobility, flowing together here. Add any movements that feel just right for you. There's a deep sense of intuitive presence, enjoying the strengthening and lengthening through the body, responding to what's being felt inside. Feel free to go back and forth through this series as many times as you like, coming back eventually to rest in the length of the down dog. A beautiful enhancement for the down dog is with the legs wide apart. So stepping the knees out to the sides, curl the tailbone under, lift the tailbone up, and use that movement to bring the knees off the ground. Step the feet even wider apart, drop the belly down between the thighs, and open the deep core joints of your body. Press the sits bones to the wall behind you, press the sternum between your knees, and press the crown of your head towards the wall in front of you. Then with that full length, open up the joints of the body. Nothing stiff, nothing rigid, nothing stuck here. Take another hand stride forward and drop down even deeper, bringing the knees close to the floor, the belly between the thighs. And then rolling forward, reverse the curve in the spine. As before, press back through the heels, forward through the hips, up through the sternum, down through the shoulder blades. Release the head, let the neck be fluid and mobile. The core of the body is giving you the stability to allow you to move and feel the places inside that have been stuck or shut down or numb, opening them up with breath and intuitive movement. Enjoy the possibilities that occur for you here. Again, feeling free to go back and forth between the down and up dog wide-legged. Wonderful opening, stretching, spaciousness right in the center of your body. And then in the end, coming back to the classic position, back into neutral table, and just letting your body integrate intuitively. Here is an exquisite series for opening up the side body. Bringing the pelvis into neutral, lifting up through the sternum, establishing core alignment. The knee is underneath the hip, so there's alignment through the left side of the body here. Right leg out to the side, the foot's at a comfortable angle. With my hands on the pelvis, you can see I'm steering the body from the pelvis. As the pelvis tilts to the left, it's like the hull of a ship moving one way and the other, the spine being sort of like the mast, except the spine here is more like a slinky spring. So the origin of movement's in the pelvis, and the spine follows that deep foundational shift. All the while lifting up through the pelvic floor, belly, and sternum in Mula Bandha. Getting the sternum to lift up and away from the pubic bone now, beginning to drop down into the belly of the posture. Part 1, the underneath arm comes in for support. The upper arm lengthens up, out, and over. A beautiful, beautiful side stretch here. The feeling in the body is of just great openness and joy, really. For additional strength, renew the pelvic floor lift and bring the underneath arm up. And again, the core of the body gives you the opportunity to explore how the energy wants to move through the torso, through the arms, through the shoulders. There's no one perfect position here. It's simply a range of energy expressions. Renewing core strength, leveling the pelvis, lifting up through the core of the body, and then tilting the pelvis briefly the opposite way for a little bit of a counter stretch here. What a nice relief. You can just feel how the body is just relaxed but yet strong at the same time. A great place to live. And now the underneath arm comes down to the ground, and here we begin by rotating the pelvis, rotating the belly, rotating the sternum, the shoulder girdle, the neck, and the skull. So now we have a spiral from the bottom up, and then the upper arm extends and expands that spiral. So not only is the upper torso rotated, but then the sternum reaches up and away from the pubic bone. And again, the core of the body giving you strength and the opportunity for mobility. And the extended arm is just allowing the expression of energy to come in whatever way it does at this particular moment in your practice. The breath is full and deep, and there's a sense of tuning into the feeling and sensations in your body. Coming back to neutral from the pelvis, bringing the leg in, and just pausing for a moment to feel this wonderful experience as it rings through your body. To the opposite side. Sense how the movement begins in the pelvis and ends in the skull. Feel the wave of breath accompanying the movement. Lifting up through the center, getting that wonderful extended aligned length. And then again, the arm comes down to provide support. The upper arm reaches up, lengthens up, and a wonderful, exquisite sense of stretch between the ribs. The ribs facing the sky, expanding deeply with the breath. There is a profound feeling of release and letting go. Bringing core strength even more, lifting up the underneath arm. When you practice at home, if this causes you to lose alignment, then bring the arm back down. The core alignment is primary. The amount of stretch and mobility is really secondary. Moving back out, coming through neutral. Wonderful sense of release and openness, and a natural after echo of the movement occurs. Coming down into the half circle now, Ardha Mandalasana. Again, see the spiraling rotation from the bottom through the middle, through the top of the torso, ending in the skull, and then the arm extends the line of the torso. As the wave of breath moves through, you feel a pulsing energy, and that pulsing energy extends out through the limbs. Not necessarily trying to make the movements happen, but feeling from the inside where the movements naturally want to go. And letting yourself enjoy the different waves of sensation as they sweep through the center of your body, out through your hands and fingers, up through the skull. Renewing core strength, leveling the pelvis, coming back to neutral. With your knees under your hips, lift up through the pelvic floor. Again, establish that core strength through the belly and sternum. Open up the wave of breath. Steering from the pelvis, as you roll the tailbone under, lift the pubic bone up, and then lift the sternum up and away from the pubic bone. You can see the body's already in a back bend without having to press the hips forward, just by tilting the pelvis. The head may be up, or if it feels comfortable, let the head go back as if you were lifting it back and over a high collar. Resting in the core of the body, opening the chest, tilting the pelvis to the max, strong core lift at this point. And again, from here you can allow the arms to just expand the basic movement here. It's a wonderful feeling of opening the heart, lifting the sternum towards the sky, and a lot of space in the back body. If you like, you can also bring the hands back down towards the feet. It feels like it's a natural extension of the core lift and lengthening happening here. With the arms extended behind you and the hands on the feet, the body can relax a little bit, and there's a little more opportunity to bring some supple movement into the basic root of the posture. Renewing core strength, leveling the pelvis, lifting up through the sternum and skull, resting in the wonderful energy wave that follows. Deep stillness inside. The root posture for sitting is a bound angle. With the sits bones firmly against the ground, move the flesh away from the bones to get a really good contact between the skeleton and the earth itself. As I mentioned earlier, the bottom of the sits bones are like a rocking chair, so rolling back and forth, finding neutral pelvis, lifting up through the sternum, shoulder blades relax back and down, opening up the wave of breath. Lifting up through the pelvic floor, core strength is at the root of all this. And then rolling forward on the sits bones, pressing the sternum forward, rolling back on the sits bones, lifting up through the sternum as the shoulders go down. Find this movement originating in the pelvic floor and across the bottom of the sits bones, and notice how the wave glides from the bottom to the middle to the top of your torso. The skull is the last thing to move. It's like the tail wags the dog. And then coming into the forward position, letting the arms just rest easy on the ground, the hands wider apart than the shoulders. A strong emphasis here on lengthen, alignment through the back body. With the hands out a little bit wider than the shoulders, pressing the weight of your body from the right to the left sits bones, bringing cross fiber stretch along the back body. Notice how the head is the last part to move. The torso moves and then the head follows. As you do this, your body lets go. Deep sounding sighs help to release. Here we get into more strengthening. The arms are expanded out to the sides, but the wave, the pulse of energy continues from the bottom up. With the arms extended, there's more strength needed through the core of the body to support you here. But what a wonderful feeling inside of energy moving strong and supple. Different variations will occur for you. This is one that I find very enjoyable. Many other ways to explore where the intuitive wisdom of the body can take you. For the second part of this, let the body relax. We release the emphasis on alignment here and instead focus on, again, passive release, letting the core of the body just sink between the thighs and adding those subtle movements that originate in the sits bones from side to side. And finally, renewing core strength, coming back to neutral spine and resting in the energy that follows. From the basic bound angle position, extend one leg forward, bring the other foot against the inside of the thigh. Move the flesh away from the bones and lengthen up through the center of your body, establishing your alignment. Connect with the wave of breath. And for this variation, we come down on the inside of the thigh. The benefit of this is if you come down with your chin and sternum over the extended leg, you're actually introducing a rotation into the body. So for our purposes here, we're going to keep it a simple forward flexion. Again, rolling across the sits bones, you can feel that movement beginning in the pelvis, ending in the skull. Maintaining the focus on core alignment, again, the arms wider apart than the shoulders. The hands press lightly to the ground and almost roll the earth towards you. This gives extra length through the core of the body. And then bringing the arms in, using the core strength even more, lifting up powerfully through the pelvic floor, belly, and sternum. Again, this subtle movement across the sits bones, the wave moving through so that there's strength and mobility. A wonderful feeling of connection with the aliveness of your body. A deep sounding sigh of release. And then part two, as before, is allowing the body to relax. We let go of the emphasis on alignment and instead focus on release. A nice little variation here is to use the foot to press forward and back and side to side, helping to move the arms and the shoulders and the back into some passive release. Completely letting go at the end, renewing core strength in this variation, rolling the spine back up. Shoulders up, back, and down, and just relaxing in neutral. Feeling the tremendous after effect. Now on the opposite side, as I mentioned before, with my knee injury, I need to use some assistance under there to help keep space in the knee joint. So seeing it from this angle, notice how the pelvis rocks forward and back. And again, I'm going to be coming down directly in front of me, which means my belly is going to be coming down on the inside of the thigh rather than over the lengthened leg. With this release of rotation from the torso, by being able to come straight forward, it opens up a little more space in the center of the body. So you can see these movements are originating in the pelvis, rippling up through the core of the body. Bringing in the core strength at this time now. Again, continuing with that same sense of pulsing, movable strength. The arms and hands and skull are just extending that wave of energy as it rises up and out of the center of the core. Every now and then a sounding sigh helps release to happen. And then extending the sternum forward, lengthening forward, a wonderful movement across the body, pressing the hips from side to side. Using the foot to help passively stretch the back body as well as the arms. Beautiful sense of letting go here. And in the last part, releasing completely and relaxing. Letting go of any emphasis on alignment. Renewing core strength, lifting up through the center of the body, rolling back to alignment. Pausing for a moment to feel a wonderful after effect. Coming back into neutral, bound angle. The posterior stretch gives us an opportunity to really open up strength and acceptance. Moving the flesh away from the bones, press the sits bones firmly down to the ground. Just like we've done before, opening up the alignment, the breath, and the core strength. Moving from the pelvis, once again the same spinal wave. Roll the sits bones forward. Let the torso follow. Inhaling as you lift up, exhaling as you extend forward. Here's bringing in the core strength. And here we go. A movement that's very helpful here, in addition to rolling the pelvis, is to press the navel towards the feet. This will really extend the low middle back. In addition, the sternum presses forward. So the pelvis tilts down, the navel presses forward, the sternum presses forward, and the shoulders are back and down. With these structural pieces in place, it opens up a lot of room for the body to be able to express itself. Similar to the previous practice, here we let the feet individually pump or pedal from side to side. And again, this is very, very helpful for assisting the body in just opening and having a sense of humor with the posture. Some of these deep holding postures can feel grim, so you want to find a way to have a sense of well-being, of lightness, of buoyancy in the postures. Here we're using the arms to bring in a little distal support for the stretch, but yet keeping a sense of openness in the joints. You'll find as you do this that you'll discover your own variations that feel just right for you. Remember that this is a moving, dynamic energy, and renewing core strength, coming back to neutral. A wonderful counter stretch is the inclined plane. Establish breath, alignment, and core strength. Press the hips up towards the sky, press the feet towards the floor, roll the shoulder blades back and down. Strong core strength in place, and again, fluid movement, so nothing is locked down here. Feel how this feels in your body just as you watch, pressing up through the pelvis, and then walking the feet underneath the knees to get even more range of motion and support. Exquisite feeling of strength and mobility coming together here. Pressing the hips up, pressing the feet and hands down. Lengthening the legs out, getting one more lift through the center of the body, and then lowering the hips to the floor and feeling the effects of that lovely counter stretch. Opening up the core of the body through rotation is wonderful. Variation, you can have the leg extended or the leg folded under. The right leg is usually the one that's folded up first. Here we establish the ABC as alignment, breath, and core strength, and then begin the movement in the pelvis by turning the pelvis towards the folded leg, letting the lower, middle, and upper torso follow, the skull completing that spiraling wave. Exhaling to the side, inhaling back through neutral. Here I lengthen up and then rotate the pelvis, the lower, middle, and upper torso, and then the arms come in lightly. They add a little bit of distal support at the very end, lifting up, lengthening up, establishing that wonderful center alignment. If you have the openness in your body, you may want to put the elbow behind the knee to give a little bit of extra core lift and lengthening here. On the other hand, if this is difficult, leave the arms where they're most comfortable. The main thing is that the core of the body is lifting and rotating for you. The positions of the arms and hands are really in response to what's most useful for your body. This is very much of a meditative position. Sitting in rotation really calms the mind, creates a feeling of spaciousness through the center of the body, and is very, very effective for detoxifying the internal organs. Moving from the core of the body again, right back through neutral, reversing the position of the legs. There are many different variations on the seated spinal twist. I'm just showing a basic set here. From this side, you can see again that the origin of movement begins in the pelvis and ripples up through the core of the body. The arms are doing really very little here. They're just going along for the ride. And here the rotation is completely from the core of the body. The hands come in lightly against the knee, give a little bit of extra support. And then the length and lift come through. I happen to enjoy this variation. And it's very restful to be able to pause in deep-seated rotation and allow the energy waves to flood through the center of the body. The breath is deep, the mind is relaxed. It's like being in the eye of a hurricane. Stillness in the center with a lot of energy rotating around the outside. Again, allowing the arms to just express what's happening in the center of your body. Unwinding from the core, coming back through neutral, and just enjoying the after effect of the seated spinal rotation. Pelvic tilts are a wonderful way to release the low back and a great preparation for the bridge posture. As you exhale, press the low back to the ground. As you inhale, inflate the belly, rolling the pelvis the opposite way. So look at what's happening to the pelvis here. You can see it tilting one way and the other in rhythm with the breath. Exhaling, scooping out the belly, press the low back to the ground and begin to lift the hips. Inhaling, return the pelvis to the ground, inflate the belly. Also helping this is when the hips lift, press the feet down into the floor. And then step the feet into a better position once you're airborne. Walk the shoulders underneath the torso and begin to open up the core of the body. At this time, you have core strength in place. The pelvic floor, belly, and sternum are powerfully engaged. Inner thighs are pressing towards each other. And yet there's still mobility in the body. The buttocks are not clenched. Breath wave is moving through the body. With the shoulders underneath, there's more room for the chest to open, and then lowering back down, returning to the pelvic tilts one time, as we begin to prepare to lift and sustain the lift. Engaging core strength again, pressing the hips towards the sky, pressing the feet down into the ground, opening up through the center of your body, walking the shoulders under. I don't clench the hands because when I do, it locks out the shoulders, elbows, wrists, and hands. Instead, I turn the palms up, rest the heels lightly on the little fingers, and this gives a wonderful support for really engaging. Press the pelvis up towards the sky and lift the sternum up and away from the pubic bone. This gives wonderful lift through the center of your body. As you're holding the posture, again, continue to explore the spaciousness and the open range of motion in the joints. Feel that sense of well-being and steady, stable core experience. Renew your core strength to lower back down, and again return to the pelvic tilts as a wonderful after asana integration. This inversion is very, very helpful, and this one is very, very safe. Rolling back, place the hands right underneath the hips. You can see that the torso is intentionally at a soft angle, so there's no undue pressure on the back of the neck. We're preserving the cervical spine. With core strength in place, the more the legs come to vertical, the more strength you're using, the more the ankles come over the face, the more relaxation there is in the posture. The hands are comfortably resting underneath the pelvis. The breath wave moves up and down through the center of your body. Feel free to explore the positions of the legs. You'll find many interesting surprises and sensations in the body as you go through this. When you're ready to come out of it, renew your core strength. Drop the knees towards the chest. Bend the legs, press the hands against the ground, and roll back out. Complement is the fish, stretching the throat. As the legs come back down, roll the pelvis across the hands, press the elbows to the ground, and lift the sternum up and away from the pubic bone. A deep arch in the low back. The back of the skull is on the ground, not the top of the head. So there's, again, a cervical curve being sustained here. Powerful core strength in place. You can even lift the legs, expand them out to the sides. The core of the body, the torso, remains in this wonderful arch, while at the same time the arms and legs are free to move. The throat is expanded, and there's a powerful sense of well-being and calmness, even with this deep arch rooted in the bottom of the belly. Nice energy waves flood through the body, since it's such a powerful countermeasure to the preceding half-shoulder stand. Opening through the heart is a very powerful part of this, and as before, the arms become a lovely expansion of the core root energy here. To come out of the posture is very simple. Press the elbows to the ground and tuck the chin. Relax. Come home to yourself.